Hi you, King here, and I am the king of theories. And this is somewhat of a theory video, as I'm theorizing what could make up a Avatar: The Last Airbender Marvel Rivals type game. Like, what would it be like if you made a Marvel Rivals type game, but with Avatar characters? I personally think it would be awesome, so I'm making this video series breaking down each character and how they would be like in the game. Like whether they be a duelist, a support, or a tank type character, and how their bending would function in a team-based combat game. And with each video, we'll list up a bunch of characters until we build up the roster to a number of 33. Then we'll do a bonus video for DLC. So before we get started, if you really like this idea, hit that like button as it really helps with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's get started. We'll start with Airbenders, and first up on this list will be Tenzin, the son of Avatar Aang. I could see Tenzin being a duelist since he has an array of air blast techniques. He's the type of character who's not afraid to get up close and personal, and he can do so quickly with his many air jumps and air wheel techniques, which can make him a very fun character to play as, with many Avatar fans utilizing him to quickly get across the many battlefields and do a quick transition into a barrage of air blasts at their opponents and enemy team. Having him play the little part of damaging the other side's team little by little, while as a whole playing the big part of distracting them from key players on your team. Making him a good duelist but a great support at heart, and as for a finishing move, he can turn himself into a big twister utilizing his airbending. Next up on the list, Opal. Now, a real challenge with having all these airbenders is finding out what unique talents can they utilize to be very defined as a playable character, so that Avatar fans would want to make them their main. And as for Opal, I could see her utilizing a lot of air blast abilities for long range, but also being a high-flying support character. By utilizing her glide suit to zoom through the airspace, I could see her coming and launching attacks from above, like having her utilize a downward air kick to push back enemies from advantageous critical positions. And I can even see her having a bonus ability where she utilizes a Sky Bison whistle to summon baby Sky Bisons to pick up allies and change their positions on the battle map, as a perfect support ability to either get allies away from danger or get them closer to other allies in need of support. And as for her ultimate, I could see her utilizing a little bit of cloud bending to conjure a rainstorm that rains and blows on water bending and air bending allies, increasing their attack power while also bringing down lightning to damage the opponents. And this support train doesn't stop, because next up is Jinora. A smaller character, but definitely an airbender I could see Avatar fans making their main, as she would have an amazing plethora of support abilities. Like, for example, I could see one of her abilities or moves being called Air Wall, where she creates a flow spiral of air around a zone spot as well as her allies to keep enemies from being able to enter that zone. And another ability where she can summon spirits to follow and heal her allies' HP, but only for a short period of time, because of course that would be a little bit too OP. And aside from a little bit of air swipes, I could see her utilizing her astral projection for another type of support ability where she is able to move across the battlefield to be able to better see and locate her targets, know their positioning, while simultaneously being impervious to all attacks, except for the drawback that her actual body will be stationary and would need to be guarded by her allies, lest she takes damage while she's looking about. And as for her ultimate, I could see it being a super version of her summoning spirits ability, where instead of just summoning one spirit at a time, she'll be able to summon an entire group that not only heals her allies, but also confuses her opponents, messing up their aim and stuff. And of course, to keep her from being way too OP, this will only be for a short period of time when she unleashes this ultimate, making Jinora not just a great strategic support, but a key player that you'll definitely want to be around on the battlefield. And going back to a duelist type, we have Kai. Now, Kai would be a really cool airbending character to play as I could see him having a lot of close-up attacks. Don't get me wrong, he'll be able to do a lot of long-range air blasts just like the best of them, but I feel it would be best for his character to make him more unique if we could give him a lot of airspeed abilities that will allow him to get close and personal to the opponent before they even have a chance to realize that they're being hit by all of his amazing air type attacks. Because as we know, airbenders are fast, but it'd be fun if we could make Kai the fastest. Being the type of duelist, if utilized right, can come in close range to the opponent to dish out a good amount of attacks, then dash out just as quick to avoid getting hit. And we could have him utilize the glide suit to also be able to have aerial advantage, on attacking his opponents. And as for his ultimate, I could see him utilizing the glide stick to run around his enemies to create a twister that not only damages all those inside it, but also pulls other opponents within it, damaging them as well. And finally, the last up on this list, Zahir. And Zahir would be a really tough airbender, so tough that instead of making him a duelist, I'm making him a tank. And with being an airbending tank, I'll have him be able to take a lot of damage while still being able to keep on kicking. With one of his abilities and movesets, of course, being the ability to fly, but of course I'll have him be able to do it much longer than the other characters on this list. Except for it being more control and fluid, as he is famous for being the second only character in Avatar history to be able to gain the power of flight. But yeah, I could see a lot of his attacks being a lot more physical and personal, with it being a lot of air punches, air kicks, and air tackles. And yeah, I could see him being so brutal that he even has a move where he grabs an opponent by the neck, then flies up into the air, still holding them by their throat just to throat slam them into the ground. Yeah, talk about being a savage for players who like to play rough. And as for his ultimate, I could see it being something just as savage, as he would blast air in all directions, and any opponent or enemy that gets hit by this air would immediately have their oxygen siphoned from their lungs via an air bubble that has formed around their head, damaging them severely, maybe even by taking away half of their HP, which would make Zahir a prime candidate to be picked on first. But because he is an airbending tank, he'll be able to take on all those licks while keep on flying. So yeah, those were all my airbending picks for an Avatar Rivals games, but there'll be more, just trust me. And until the next video where I'll discuss waterbenders for an Avatar Rivals game, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. Comment down below who you would want in an Avatar Rivals game, and be sure to stay great.